Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Ghostoul Podcast. What a week it's been, and what a show we have for you tonight. We have the awesome, the multi-talented Dr Kate Cherrell.
Congrats, you pronounced that perfectly. I'm so proud of you.
I nearly got it wrong, just as I was about to say it.
Oh. No, that was perfection. Well done. I won't berate you for the rest of the show now.
Thank you so much. Phew! So welcome along. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I know you're very busy in the month of October.
Yeah. It's the nature of it for us sort though, isn't it?
Yeah. So how have you been? Hope you're well.
Good. Yeah, keeping busy, keeping many plates in the air. I've had this week is the first week in ages where I've just been allowed. I've allowed myself to be at home, work on writing projects, do a horrific amount of admin, pay the water bill, that sort of thing. So all that sort of fun stuff that means you can actually just stay in your pajamas all day. That's been my week. But prior to that, I've been all over the place, doing book stuff, book festival stuff. I've done hosting a lot of events recently, different projects, lurking. That's what I do day to day. I lurk.
Waiting for the spooky season.
Absolutely, yeah.
So before we carry on, we've got some people that are here with us. We have Admit, looking forward to the show. Thank you so much. Mr. Mark Williams is here waiting to go. Thank you, Mark. Roger, hi Roger, hope you're well. We have Truth Seeker in the house. Thank you for sharing the post earlier. Thank you so much. Roger's helloing again. C and D, hi both, and hi everyone in the comments. Hope everybody is all good for this Tuesday evening. Ali, good evening, sir. Hope you're well. So, Kate, as I said, thank you for joining me. If you'd just like to give everybody a little rundown of who you are and what you do, if you don't mind, that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. I really should have like an elevator pitch for this, but I'll work on it. So I'm Kate Cherrell, sometimes billed as Dr. Kate Cherrell. I'm a paranormal historian broadly. That's what I'm known as. I'm a writer. I am also a paranormal investigator / ghost botherer. And I write a lot. I write academic stuff, which is very, very dry and no one really wants to know about. I've written a novel this year has just come out. My next book is coming out next year. I write for various magazines on all manner of spooky stuff, host events, many fingers in many pies, but all of them are very much ghost-shaped. And much like yourself, I've done my fair share of paranormal TV now, and have screamed into more mirrors than I really want to admit. So that's me. That's my pitch. Hello, everyone.
That's brilliant. I love that. Hi, Ruben. Thanks for joining us this evening. Sophia, hello. So, what created the spark for you to get you on your paranormal journey? Did you see a family member as a ghost? Were you inspired by books, TV? What was it that got you into it in the first place?
I suppose it's a bit of everything. I often think that I was always supposed to be doing a strange job. Like my full-time job is now, waffling on about dead people, for which I'm incredibly privileged, but also I acknowledge that it's not a normal job. But I had my interest in the paranormal and my experiences in the paranormal both happened at a young age, but I feel like they were very separate things in my life for a long time. So I had an interest in ghosts and everything that you can cram into those novelty paranormal encyclopedias from like the early 90s. Yeah. So everyone knows the moccasin on the end of a burnt leg, the strange photos of like disembodied hands, ghosts on staircases, all that sort of stuff that really just attracts children, and this was the age of the X-Files as well. So I got the
Oh, great,
full
great show.
joy of Strange But True, X-Files, all of that. So that interest, and then my later interest in Victorian literature and the Victorian ghost story and all of that, was always sort of thundering along in the background. But when I was in my early teens, I had my first real experiences where I was spending a lot of time at my sister's house. My sister had just bought a new house in Grimsby, as bog standard, like post-war semi-detached house. There was no great Victorian turrets or ancient burial grounds underneath. And from the beginning, I was there a lot. I was there through every stage of it. Slept there most nights of the week. And as we started renovating the house, things started to change. And to cut a very, very long story short, over, I think it was 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I started experiencing things that were as little as like strange burning smells all over the house, that then suddenly grew to things moving around the house. Then these big lights would appear on the stairs, as if they were walking down the stairs. They were like the 3 or 4 foot high big lights all hours of the day. So it wasn't just, cars going by. It was day and night. We'd see these lights. They weren't orbs. They were like almost like a semicolon sort of shape.
Okay.
We started seeing those, and then footsteps all the time throughout the house, but especially at night, going up and down the stairs and across the landing. So doing this circuit all the time. And my sister's dog, who was this bitey little sod of a Westie called Lucy, would sit at the top of the stairs and watch something do this loop before we could see it.
Yeah.
And this went on for months, all this sort of strange stuff. And then it escalated where we started seeing sort of parts of a person. We always said it was a man from the beginning, but it was like part of a person if he was made of like black static. It's the only way I can describe it. It's like all crackly at the edges, going into rooms. So we'd see like half of him going in, or a bit of a shoulder going in through rooms. And this escalated really quickly until one day we saw him in the bathroom, and he was sort of hovering in the corner, this shadowed black crackly figure hanging in the corner of the bath, like a full figure of a man. And then when that started happening, we started seeing this full man walking upstairs around the house. He woke my sister and her husband up in the middle of the night, and they were both bolt awake, staring at him for about a minute and a half. This wasn't like a fleeting thing. And he was there at the end of the bed. I started seeing him come into my room and stand in the corner and watch me. And at one point, I heard this breath against me when I very cartoonishly pulled the covers over my head. And that it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And we had this incident where my sister, we don't know if, I think when you've done years and years of paranormal stuff, you're very wary of attributing extreme paranormal phenomena to things that could be explained away by other means. So although we had all this extreme stuff going on, there was one instance where my sister was sent flying down the stairs. She really badly broke her hand and her wrist. And was she pushed? Did something else happen? And then I think it was 2 days later, something happened and I stacked it, and I broke exactly the same bones in my hand and my wrist as well, which was really, really weird. But I mean, we could be here all day, because this was years and years of stuff going on.
Things happening,
Yeah, and it was the same man. And we got vicars in from the local church. They came around 3 times. We had family members who were sort of would-be paranormal investigators before we really knew what that was. Because this is sort of late 90s, early 2000s. And they stood on the landing, and one of them was shoved violently. He nearly went over the banister downstairs. And they left. They came in like so many people with this idea of, oh, you're all talking nonsense. We'll come in and explain it. And you have never seen people leave a house so quickly. Terrified. But we were there for about 3 years, I think it was. And in the end, I scarpered because everything just seemed to be more and more focused around my bedroom. And my sister and her husband moved downstairs, so they took the mattress downstairs into the living room and
Yeah.
slept there while they tried to get the house sold. And
So
yeah,
was,
yeah, it wasn't great.
that's crazy. So was this
Yeah.
the spirit, as it were? Was it
Mm.
interacting with you, or was it just following the same pattern, going each room, up the stairs, round the
Yeah.
landing? It
For
would.
the longest time, yeah, for the longest time, it was just doing a loop. It was like it was on a train track, especially good. Honestly, going up and down the stairs and on the landing, I can, if I was better with sound, I could fully recount every single step. I could count it perfectly because it went
Yeah.
on for so long. But as time progressed, then it started interacting. But it was more, when I look back, I think it was more curious, like it didn't quite understand what was going on. So when it would appear in the bedrooms, it would just be looking at you like, why are you here? Why are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
in that bed? So there was a lot of that, and that's why I'm not too sure about the whole broken wrist incident. But those things were so they were so extreme, and we were all really, really like emotionally damaged by it, I suppose, but
I can
also
imagine. Yeah.
very, very aware of. I mean, now it's completely different. Like if I had those things happening now, I'd be like, right, BBC, get here, got a cracking series for you. SPR, ASAP, anyone with a camera, get in here. We're getting this sorted once and for all.
Yeah.
But back then, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what places to contact apart from the local vicar. And if you're talking about these things outside of your family, you're going to get ridicule, you're going to get abuse, and
Yeah.
it really messes with you. So for years, we didn't really talk about it. We thought something had followed us into the next house because we had a few weird things happen for the first few nights, and then it just mellowed out completely. But that I kept strange. I don't know how I managed to compartmentalize it, but those experiences I kept so separate from my interest in the paranormal
Yeah.
that I never really connected the two. It was like, oh well, I like reading about these things. I'm obsessively reading ghost stories. I'm, XYZ. But this was a bit too real and a bit too scary
But
to
yeah,
to link together. So it was only
the,
a couple of years ago, the first time I started talking about it. And me
the
and my
fact
sister sat down and
the fact you
went through it.
both broke your wrist after being pushed, that's crazy. Did you ever
Yeah.
like do any research to see if there's a gentleman, if you call him that, what
Yeah.
lived in the land, the property at all? That it
Yeah.
could
Well,
be.
we think it was a man who had lived there with his mum in the 80s, and he apparently died in the bath because we asked one of the next door neighbours who was pretty spooked out by the whole thing, but acknowledged that there was a young man. I say, he's probably early 40s, mid 30s to early 40s. Let's call it young. Please, for the love of God, let's call it young. So he died
Yeah,
in the
young.
bath. Yes, very youthful. Yeah, so
Yes.
he died in the bath, and we think it was him.
Right.
Um, but this is the frustrating thing, because now with the power of hindsight, you'd think, oh, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I
Mm.
take more pictures? Why didn't I do that? But even today, when my sister and I have had subsequent strange experiences, when you're in the midst of it, you don't automatically go, oh right, I'm just going to pick up a camera in the middle of the night, really quick, snap a picture. I've got everything, sorted. It's easier said than done a lot of the time when you're in the middle of the whole fear response.
Yeah, it's definitely the last thing on your mind. You're just trying to understand the situation. Like, what's going on? How's this happening? But
Mm.
obviously, like nowadays, though, like you said, it'd be like, whoa, this is cool. Let's get on this and
Yeah,
try and get some evidence because
yeah,
this is happening in front of us.
exactly. And it's so frustrating in a way because obviously, I'd love to go back and try and find out different things. In one breath, I'd love to go back, and in other breaths, I'm too scared sometimes to even drive past that house. And I
Oh,
have
really?
to, when I'm, running some errands, I have to head that way if I have to go
Yeah, yeah.
further north. Yeah. So it's a funny thing. I'm still figuring it out in my head, I think.
Yeah, maybe some things you're not supposed to find the answers for.
Yeah, yeah, and as long as whatever it is stays there, more than happy
Yeah,
for him to stay put in that house. Yeah.
yeah. Don't follow to your new house.
Mm, yeah,
So
absolutely.
I have a book here
Hey.
that I got off you at Parameet. I've just started to read it. Um, what made you want to write books? Obviously, this is fiction, isn't it? It's not a true story.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what would you ever want to write? I suppose it would be like a because you're a historian, um,
Mm,
more history side of books, or do you think
yeah.
this is a way that you will go down, like in the future, graphic
And no,
novels?
all the projects that I'm working on at the minute and the book I've got coming out next year are all straight non-fiction. They're all
Yeah,
like factual, historical, spooky type things.
yeah,
So the novel, I suppose, maybe like a couple of years from now, I'll look on as being like an anomaly in the great overall
yeah. Hmm.
view of everything I write. So I write a lot of short fiction at the minute,
Yeah,
and I'll probably have some more collections of short fiction in the future. But that gothic novel was, well, I try and make it snappy to be like, hey, it's money, lies, seance, oh, haunted house in the middle of nowhere. Can you trust your senses? It's perfect for October. Buy it for your Halloween present to yourself. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of Begotten because although it's fiction, it's based entirely on fact. So in looking into all the like I'm particularly obsessed with Victorian spiritualism. Speak a lot
yeah,
about
yeah,
Victorian spiritualism and early proto ghost hunting methods. And in researching all of this and in researching very early seance reports and the way that we interacted with ghosts and spirit communications in our own houses, um, I started picking up these amazing situations and these very dramatic um, like seance reports that you read and you think, well, that can't have actually happened. Surely they've really just hammed that up. But then
yeah,
I started thinking, well, no, what if that really extreme thing had happened at a seance? What if we can completely lose ourselves? And if we introduce these very charismatic spiritualists, certain mediums into our household, do we completely lose all sense of what's real and what's fake and our place in the world? And so Begotten's kind of the culmination of this interpretation of this really fraught space in paranormal history. And
yeah.
yeah, with it being October now, and with it being dark days and spooky season, it slips in perfectly to when everyone wants to stay at home with a big cup of cocoa and read about something evil wandering around your house. So I'm glad to be able to facilitate that for many people.
It sounds like a perfect evening in front
Yeah,
of the fire, hot chocolate.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Let me ruin your Halloween with genuine terror.
I love that. Bring it on. So obviously, I don't know if you know, but I work in a cemetery. I'm a grave digger.
Mm,
Um, I hear that you have a new book coming out that is in some way connected to that type of thing.
yes. Yes, I also worked in a cemetery for a while as well,
Ooh,
although not as a gravedigger because I am not strong. I don't look good in high vis, believe me, I've tried it. And I can't be trusted to use mini diggers.
oh,
So
they're fun.
my career in grave digging was cut short before it even started.
Oh, that's a shame.
But I was a duty manager in a cemetery
Oh,
in
nice.
the southwest for a while. So yeah, I sort of did all the just the day-to-day running of things,
Yeah,
making
yeah,
sure the living were behaving themselves on site predominantly, and most of the time they were. But
yeah.
well, working in cemeteries, you see the best and worst of humanity.
You
So I'm
do.
sure
Yeah,
you,
yeah, very
yeah,
much
see
so.
all sorts. Yeah,
Lots of
that's.
stories.
Oh, we could really compare sometime.
Mm.
But yes, my forthcoming book is it's a journey into England's most unusual graves and unusual grave sites. So I've been for the last year. I've been traveling all over England, visiting these strange headstones or important headstones, So they're strange, unusual, important, or particularly sad, or they're all important in some way. And so I
Yeah.
visited them, I've photographed them, and I've written little bits about each of them, about why they're important, where they are, and about the people beneath them. And so it's sort of my personal journey with cemeteries, with graves, and why they're important to me, but also why we should really spend more time in cemeteries and why we should appreciate graves for far more than we often dismiss them as. Because I think we often just look at graves and go, oh, yeah, yeah, it's morbid, why are you hanging around there? When actually these cemeteries, burial spaces are these amazing libraries of social history.
Definitely.
They're the most phenomenal places to learn about the, like, once again with the living, the best and worst of humanity. You've got folk tales, you've got strange stories, you've got artists, you've got an unimaginable grief, and you've got people from all walks of life being memorialized in really beautiful, odd, and unusual ways. So I wanted to capture that and put that into a little project, and very, very grateful that a publisher also thought that it was worth capturing and putting out. And so, yeah, next year that'll be my next thing. Yeah, next project.
That sounds good. Halloween release?
God knows. I haven't got the
No.
release date. It's very frustrating because I've like
Okay.
I keep getting updates of like
Yeah,
this is being typeset, this is being put through, and I'm like, so when can I tell people? So yeah, as soon as I've got a release date, I'll be able to talk about it. But I can also say to anyone wanting to do a similar journey, don't cost you a fortune in petrol. And it seems like a great idea at the beginning, but 6 months into it, you start to go, oh God, have I got to go up to Chorley again? You know, so it's all relative.
I take it it's finished then, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Already, I'm
good
just
then.
waiting for that good old release date, and then I
I
will
bet
be promoting.
I bet that's an amazing feeling knowing you finished your book and it's like right, everything's good. Thumbs up from
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
Just I bet it's like, oh yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I've
I think I sent everything in at like close to midnight one day, and then immediately was like, I'm tired, but I need to have a glass of wine as like a symbolic celebration. So I was there in like a teenage gamer onesie with like a mug of wine going, I've done so well for myself. Well done, me. So yeah.
oh, that's brilliant. I love that. So, if we can talk about your TV work, if that's all right.
Hmm. Yeah,
You've been
yeah.
on various TV shows on various channels. What got you into what was your first break into paranormal TV?
Um, oh God, first one was I did a little bit on a documentary called Spectre or Spectacle, which was like the history of the paranormal. It
Yeah.
was mainly like a charity documentary thing, but that was the first time that I had anything that had a release. But then the first traditional, I suppose, TV show I did was Haunted Homecoming with Jack Osborne,
Mm.
and I did that with North One production company and Discovery, and so that was kind of it went down very well. So that was I was very fortunate, I suppose, that was my first. Sorry, that was my first introduction to the world of TV. It was a really lovely crew. Like, and I think a crew can, like any job, crew can make or break your experience on a TV show. And I was really fortunate that the crew were lovely. Like Jack and his family were all lovely, so I didn't have any negative experiences at all. But yeah, that was my first. That was my first one. That was my first one. Yeah.
Yeah, North One. They were the production company when I was on telly. They they're really good. They
Yeah,
looked after
they're
us.
good uns, aren't they? They're nice
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah. They know what they want. They get it done, and they make sure everything is all good. Yeah, I was
Mm.
impressed with them. My one and only time back in
Still
the day.
counts. Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing,
Yeah,
paranormal TV, it's never linear. It always just seems to be like there's a massive spike and everyone's producing paranormal content.
yeah,
And then someone new will come up at the top of like the parent production company and just wipe the slate clean, which is what's happened again recently.
yeah, yeah.
And so now who knows? Who knows what will happen next, production-wise? But it's not the greatest time to be in TV. It's more competitive than ever, and it's a tricky situation to be in.
Well, I think a lot of it goes on streaming services now, don't they, rather than mainstream
Oh
TV.
yeah,
Obviously, you can watch
yeah,
them on your telly, but I think that's sort of the future.
yeah. And
I
I think
think.
it's kind of the world of streaming and creating and making small independent paranormal streaming companies is a really interesting way that the community is going as well. So I like seeing a lot of that, where people are saying they're not just whinging and saying, oh, why aren't you making this content? Why aren't these things on telly? Why aren't these things on telly? They're going out and making them what they want. You know, if people want a really quiet, simple investigation for everyone to see, they're not
Mm.
waiting for someone on TV to make that, because they won't make it. It's
No,
just
no,
some
no.
formats just are not. They're going to clash. But there's now far like independent streamers that are producing content for everyone in the paranormal world, which I think is really great. I really like that.
Yeah, I think the more available, the better. Personally, everyone's got
Absolutely.
different tastes. Everybody works differently, so I think
Mm,
there are shows out there for everyone's different taste. I think.
absolutely. Yeah, you can see every belief and every method reflected, whether it's on like a podcast, a YouTube
Yeah.
series like the Supernatural UK. I've done a few of their investigations. That's
Yeah.
really good because they basically say, how do you want to investigate? Here's the venue. How do you want to investigate? And you can go, ooh, and you kind of get, you can plan the whole thing yourself, which is kind of like a dream for a tiny investigation team. So that's great. But yeah, everything's reflected in modern media. So I think we should be very grateful for that. We don't have to wait for the telly people to make it. It's being made
No.
all the time.
Yeah. And that's what I love, especially this time of year, because it may sound a bit weird, but in like the lead up to Halloween, you've got all the, if you watch YouTube anyway, the big YouTubers making all their Halloween specials. You've got shows on TV. You've got all the podcasts. It is just such a good time to, if you
Mm.
enjoy the paranormal, obviously, just to get involved. And it's just like, oh, I'm too busy. I've got to watch this. I've got to listen to
Yeah,
this. And it's just a brilliant time of year for me.
yeah. There's, I mean, I wish I could say, oh, and I watch all these paranormal YouTubers do this. I'm still like, I want to watch the Garfield Halloween specials and all those sort of things. But I appreciate that there's a great wealth of
Yeah.
content out there, and it's
I,
brilliant. Yeah, everyone just
yeah.
goes mad at Halloween anyway, so
That's how it
why not
should be.
indulge yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, your sister's house, you
Hmm.
experienced that man. I'm guessing you are possibly a believer
Yeah.
in spirits, ghosts.
Yeah, I think I'm not just a straightforward, like, if there's a knock on the wall, I'll go, oh, it's a poltergeist. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I'm still quite, yeah, I've got a skeptical head on me,
yeah, yeah,
most of the time. But I think a lot of that as well just comes with experience. Like the more years you're in the field, the more things that you experience personally and you see and you process yourself, the more inclined you are to sort of discount things that maybe previously you thought there'd be something in it.
yeah.
So I think it can be good, it can be bad, but I definitely feel like I have more of a filter system now, which also means that when something that I can't explain is happening, that feels all the more important to me. But it also means, as I found out relatively recently, if I feel that something really interesting and genuinely paranormal is happening, and someone is making a rustling noise trying to get a Kit Kat open, I turn into the biggest arsehole in the world. Shut up! We could crack this if you just had a snack beforehand. So yeah, I am a believer. But when I get that evidence that makes me think, oh, there's something here, I will protect it like a feral cat because it's such a rarity. So yeah, that's kind of my current experience with investigative methods. It's just really intense.
Oh dear. So, what's the best piece of evidence you've ever captured while being out? I take it you go out investigating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been out since da, 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 September, early September. So it's been a little while. Yeah, late August, early September. So I think over the years, the things that have been the most impressive to me have been things like maintained intelligent communication using tech. And I know tech can be like, ooh, you know, it's very, very divisive. But I've filmed some things where we've had really consistent and prolonged responses through things like, you know, like footstep trackers or geophones, things like that.
Yeah.
Put them on the table. Well, it's kind of like knock once for yes. It's the most basic thing in the book. But when you can measure it and you can film that, I've had some really, really interesting communications with that. And one that I did recently as well. I'm not in charge of processing the audio from that. Thank God, because there was hours of it. But so far I've heard some of the clips that we got from it, and we've got some really interesting little whispers and some laughter in the background, which obviously any sort of like children's laughter is always proper horror movie territory, but there's some really faint laughter on there, and really clear footsteps, really, really clear footsteps going around in a circle around me on gravel, and there was no one there. We've got locked off cameras. Yeah, we've got locked off cameras. We've got basically just threw everything at it to try and get see if we could get anything. And we got this circular sort of pacing of footsteps doing circles around me on gravel. So that was great. I was very relieved that it wasn't carpeted, so the gravel was good. So yeah, we'll see what happens when that's all properly processed. But it was good. The last one was good. The problem is that when I'm trying to juggle writing work and investigations, they're pretty tricky to fit in the diary all at the same time, because I live in the arse end of nowhere. I live like basically in a field. So if I want to go to any like prominent haunted locations to go and investigate, we're talking like hours and hours of driving. So yeah, it's not as easy as it once was when I lived in cities, but when I go and investigate now, I make it count. Yeah.
So do you go out with other teams, or do you have your like your friends or whatever you go out with?
Yeah.
People you can trust?
I now I don't really do any public investigations or bigger investigations. I think that partially might just be because I'm really antisocial and I'm just projecting that onto everyone else. But no, the last investigation I did, there was only 3 of us investigating, and that was just with some close friends. But when I go on some of the fancier ones, because I'm trying to tick some big things off my bucket list in over the next few years, and so the bigger investigations, the ones that are in like stately homes and really historical buildings, I do a lot of those with South Bristol Paranormal, which is a really, really lovely team of people. So a lot of things with Corinne and Lisa from the Jamaica Inn Paranormal team. Mad as a box of frogs, the pair of them. But they are like really, they're amazing though. But they are such phenomenal investigators. Like when they know that it's time to investigate, they are so switched on. I've learned so much from them over the years, and I really like investigating with them. So when I can, I do try and meet up and investigate with them wherever in the country they seem to be lurking.
Yeah, Corinne's lovely. Yeah, she's great at what she does.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Knows the Jamaica Inn like the back of her hand as well. So yeah. Great. Again, mental but brilliant.
Sometimes you got to be there, haven't you, to do this thing?
Absolutely, I wouldn't have her any other way. Yeah.
No, you got to talk to air at night time in the dark. Is there anybody there?
Yeah. It's that's it. When you're, I think that's the big thing about paranormal investigation. It's when you get to like the 4-5 hour mark, and it's late at night, and you're tired, and you're cold, and you want to go home. You need to have that solid group of people around you that you feel like you can just be, and you can relax, and you don't have to, keep up appearances. That's why people that do that host public nights, I think they're the most amazing people. Like they must just have like a Red Bull IV into them, because they have to be so perky on it. Like a friend of mine, Amy, does a lot of public events, and she's like, oh yeah, no, I did 3 on the bounce, from 8 till 3 in the morning. Then I had to drive 2 hours home. I just often feel like, am I just imagining you? Because no one can have this
No.
level of energy and do their job like as well as she does. So I think there's like people that do events are a different breed. They really are. It's phenomenal work. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the best location you've done so far?
Mm. So I always go back to Warmley Clock Tower, even though
Mm.
it's not the most amazing. It doesn't have turrets and Dracula's not wandering around. But I've had some really amazing evidence from Warmley Clock Tower, and it's a shocker for a paranormal location. It's actually quite cheap to hire, which is a real novelty nowadays. But yeah, Warmley
Yeah.
Clock Tower is great. Love Chillingham Castle. Really love Chillingham Castle. Because I mean, who doesn't like being in Chillingham Castle? And where else? Hellfire Caves was great.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good one.
Bunkers were always good. It's been a long time since I've done a bunker, but I used to like bunkers. Um, I've done my fair share of prisons, but I too cold, and it's the most pathetic thing to say about a location. But when I've got to wear like 6 different fleeces and thermals to go and investigate, I don't give a toss. If there's an undead highwayman wandering around on the top floor, I want a hot chocolate and I want to go home.
Speaking of
Yeah.
prisons, I went to Shepton Mallet for the first time in July, and it's probably because
Oh,
of the
how do you
time of
find
year.
it? Hmm.
Absolutely amazing, incredible.
Brilliant.
Just I've always wanted to do a prison, and
Yeah.
I've done like little jails like Derby Jail and the old prison and just small
Oh,
ones.
Derby's nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the big metal cage wings, 3
Yeah.
floors. That is what I've always wanted to do, and I did that,
Mm.
and it was so hot. It was horrible.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, we have had extremes then at Shepton Mallet. I went in February last. I genuinely thought I had frostbite. You're shaking so much
Yeah.
that you can't function. But
Yeah.
it was amazing as well, that we got some amazing evidence. Things were going absolutely mad when we were there. We did like Esters and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, everyone was sort of really excited by it, but needed more storage heaters.
Yeah. I don't know if February is a good time to go, but I'd have took that over the July one, to be fair, because you were walking around in a t-shirt dripping because it was just so hot. But obviously we
Wow.
had a great, really hot summer, didn't we? So,
Mm.
but so you've mentioned a few gadgets. Are you
Mhm.
your style of investigating? Are you old school or are you
Mhm.
gadget? Or are you somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, really boringly, I'm just gonna have to say I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I like tech,
Yeah.
and I like being nosy. I like knowing what's out there. Like
Mm.
Andy Guy, who does the Skya tech stuff.
Yeah.
Nowadays, when I go out, I mainly use his products.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it does some like brilliant atmospheric measuring devices, and did a bell one that's got, yeah, he's done some
I saw that.
stuff.
Yeah, I was looking into that. Yeah, that looks really
The
good.
bell's really good. It's really,
Yeah.
really good. So I really like his tech, but nowadays, apart from the Skya stuff, um, I mainly just I'll have my SB7. I do like a spirit box, although I
Mm.
don't know, I feel like my relationship's changing with spirit boxes a bit. Um,
No, you can't
and
leave us.
I'm
Can't
so
leave us.
sorry. That's
Everyone
the
else is
news I've
leaving.
got. And I've got I like an MF1 because I like a big chunky multi device. So I do like an
Yeah.
MF1. Like I say, footstep trackers
Yeah,
and
they're good. They
anything
are.
that's got any kind of motion sensor.
Motion. Yeah. Yeah, they're brilliant.
Those sort of like basic solid things. Totally on board with. I like a REM pod,
Yeah.
any kind of EMF type thing. I'm on board with. But I'd say I probably take about like 5 bits of kit with me now.
Yeah.
The thing that I can't get on board with is apps. And I know
Yeah.
apps to a lot of people are like they're babies. They they're like the stalwart of their investigations. They're the main focus of everything. But looking into the way phones function, basic phone software, and the basic foundations of mobile technology, and then looking at what apps claim to be able to do within that framework, the two don't marry up for me. But then again, I've done my fair share of investigations where people have apps and they're using apps, and I'm never rude. And I always think, well, if you think that's relevant, let's pursue that line of investigation, and let's see if this is interesting. But personally, I mean, the only apps I have on my phone that I use regularly are things like Duolingo. I'm not trying to talk to the dead, So I think I like a bit of tech, but I do think, just basic calling out and using your own senses is a great foundation. I'm trying not to get on my soapbox here. I feel like calling out and doing the whole sort of like trust your senses, be old school side of things is really great. But I would be concerned that in dividing investigative methods into tech and no tech, that there can be some rather nasty attitudes along with that as well, a sort of semi superiority, I think, to saying, oh, you're using apps, you're using tech, you're not investigating properly, we're only using our senses. But it's like, well, also, you are only human. As much as using your own senses is great, there's a lot of stuff you're going to miss. So why don't you just, have them as backup almost? But I like that everyone's investigative methods are different. And but I think that often comes out with when you try and sift through the evidence itself, whether or not that evidence has legs. I think we can get things can get a bit murky.
Yeah, there's a few people that I investigate with, like Phil Wyman. When I go on his show, he back to basics, so no tech, nothing at all really. When Ali's in the comments here watching, he's a spiritual medium, so we do sort of a bit more of that from time to time. And Mark Williams is also
not
here.
Enough investigations use mediums nowadays.
No, it's sort of gone full circle, hasn't it? Where everybody had a medium, and then no one, you can't have a medium, So
it is so bizarre. So bizarre that we don't. It's like, well, let a medium freeze their arse off as well. Come on, bring the mediums back into it. That I'd be far more interested to go on more investigations with mediums than more investigations with tech, because that would interest me far more. And that seems to be something that's missing from a lot of back to basics investigations as well. Presence of more spiritual methods of investigation.
Yeah, I think Ali did it with Justin and Bido the other week at Skirridin. He did a seance, like an old school spiritual seance.
Oh, nice.
And so he's very good at that. Awesome. He's done all the training, all the many years of learning his craft. But when you investigate with him, he doesn't pull it in your face. Like if he gets any messages, it'll come through, because he's also investigating, you see. So he's not focusing on the mediumship, which I like. So because like I've worked with mediums before, and it's just like, go away, There's someone standing there. No, there's not. They're just making it up, and then suddenly everybody's a medium, and it's like, no. Like the genuine ones, there are a few, and they're really good.
It seems like through every aspect of the paranormal, you've got your own journey and your own attitudes and your own methods, but also you need to have your own filtering system as well. It's like, what would best suit my needs, my spiritual or my interests, and then just push everyone through a sieve and see what comes out the bottom and what doesn't serve you well. But but it's the same thing, if people want to go on investigations and have seances that are really, really dramatic, first of all, buy my book, Begotten. That's got dramatic seances in it. Very smooth book. But also, available from all good bookshops. But like I saw in the comments, realistically, a lot of a lot of investigations that will do old school and will do stuff with mediums.
Yeah.
Their results, there may be very few, but they'll be really interesting. And that's the sort of stuff that you want to be chasing. I feel like a lot of us are. Whereas if you want that entertainment, you want that drama, you're not necessarily going to get it with a back to basics method or with a spirit-led method. You're going to get that with tech, because then you have to discount all the bleeps and the knocks and everything. So there's far more going on. It's far more sensory overload. Yeah. But all have their benefits, absolutely. I love going to places when someone's gone, hey, I've rigged up CCTV over every square inch of this place. And by the way, there's now lasers and I look like I'm in the Matrix. And I'm just there going, this is brilliant. There's time for everything, I think.
Yeah, well, I think a bit of it, all different styles, I think is perfect. Do a bit of each on the investigation. But again, it also depends on where you are, what location you're at.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a lot of people don't want to know the history of a location, do they, when they go in? But I think if you do, then you can do some really interesting tailoring with, like, obviously the questions you ask, the routes you go in, the stuff you bring in. Yeah, it can be really interesting.
Yeah. So what what annoys you about the paranormal then? Get on your soapbox.
I'm a very polite girl, and what annoys me in the paranormal? Oh God, people. That's it. That's my answer. Just people. No, I think, considering that there are so many nice movements at the minute, like Barry Frankish, who is, I think, possibly the nicest person who has ever lived. So naturally, it's going to turn out that he's like an axe murderer or something. But he's lovely.
Yeah, sorry, Barry.
But he does like his Proud to be Paranormal T-shirt day, all of that, raised money for charity. He did the most amazing talks on like mental health. I think when there are so many lovely movements like that can be genuinely beneficial within the paranormal, there's so much backbiting and criticism, just solid, non-constructive nastiness. And I think a lot of that is based around social media presences, paranormal output, whether that's on social media, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on TV, whether it's podcasts. There's a lot of nastiness that I think is half born from, I sound like a mother saying, oh, they're just bullying you because they're jealous you're so pretty, instead of you're a weirdo. But I feel like there's a lot of directionless jealousy and directionless nastiness that comes from a place of unsettlement in someone's real self. I think there's so much, everyone constantly is just slagging each other off. And it's tiresome because while everyone's doing all of that, you're missing the really interesting investigations. You're missing the interesting things that people are putting out, theories, papers, talks, and when we could be listening to someone's really new idea, instead we're looking at someone else who's written 16 really long Facebook messages about how they hate so-and-so and why they hate this method, and so-and-so's a fake. I know because I looked in through their bin once. It's just, it gets so psychopathic and so personal that I feel like we all sometimes need to take a step back and go, we are going into pubs when after they have shut and shouting into darkness. Not one of us deserves the ego to behave like this. This is all, we are just train spotters in black. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a great answer. I love that.
Thank you.
I'm sure you could have gone deeper, but that's fine. We'll leave it there on that one. Yeah. So obviously you're a historian. You write about stories of paranormal events, etc. Is there any stories or hauntings that you think are not true? Maybe they're fake or they've just been hyped up, whether it's locations, stories of a specific haunting at a location?
I think there's kind of like a blanket answer for a lot of that. So a lot of the places, certainly in the UK, that have associations with Judge Jeffreys and the Monmouth Rebellion, and even through like a lot of Civil War associations. If you look into, if you properly get really, really tragic and go looking into archives and looking into like local history societies, you'll
Yeah.
often find that a lot of these associations, especially when it comes to Monmouth Rebellion related stuff and Judge Jeffreys related stuff, there are very tenuous links, if there are any at all. So there are a lot of very haunted pubs, a lot of pubs that are haunted by highwaymen that never existed, of airmen that never existed, like the Golden Fleece at York. Now I really
Yeah.
like the Golden Fleece.
It's a great place.
Yeah, it's lovely. They've got like a really fun story. It's a fun story. A fun story about like a skull being stolen and then brought back. It's a mock-up of a skull now.
Yeah.
But like it's a really interesting place. They've had some really interesting paranormal reports as well. So I think this is a really good encapsulation of hauntings that I think have legs and should be investigated, and a lot of modern active reports. Like when I last went there, I think it was the bar manager said that she kept seeing this, you know, this figure walking through the women's toilets, who then just walked through the door. But there's a story associated with that, with a World War II airman who supposedly died there. And no, like so many other people, I took that on trust and was like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. I'm going to look into that. And then I spoke about it to one of my close friends, and he said, oh, no, I know that story because it was my mate that made it up. He just got really levered and thought this would be a great story, and then it just snowballed. And so I think that was like, oh, but also that's really interesting, because then if you look at so many different other locations, especially I can't remember the name of it. There's the house in Hull that they said was a
The
former
hostel.
undertakers. Was it former
De Grey Street.
undertakers? Grey
Yeah.
Street.
De Grey
That
Street. Yeah.
that Mike Covell, who is basically Mr. Hull.
Mr.
He
Hull.
knows
Yeah. Werewolf
everything.
man. Yeah.
There is no, yeah, like
Yeah.
his knowledge is amazing. But he did a thorough, that's it, yeah, De Grey Street. He did a thorough go through of all the claims about De Grey Street. And if anyone knows their way around an archive, it's Mike. His work is like watertight, and he just systematically took it apart. It was phenomenal. It's really good research. But yeah, I think De Grey Street, that's really not, there's not much to that. But in itself, the fact that whole thing could be constructed by hearsay and wishful thinking is also really interesting, because we want places to be haunted. We want these aggressive spirits to be there, even in like folklore and in modern contemporary folklore. And so in a sense, we're sort of projecting new histories and new hauntings onto places where they don't necessarily exist in reality, but by a sort of like group willfulness, a sort of, I don't want to say delusion, but a sort of hopeful communal view, we sort of create these haunted locations.
Yeah.
You know, there is a certain transformative power in applying haunted narratives to non-haunted places. So I think that still makes them really interesting and really important. I know there's so many big locations that are very, very, very divisive. I think if you say like 30 East Drive, you know, you might summon someone to jump through your window and give you a slap. There's just some locations more than others that really set people against one another. But I find all of them really interesting. The ones that seem completely legit and the ones that seem completely fabricated are both equally really interesting, because we can look at the function of hauntings and the function of ghosts in really unique and interesting ways. So all of it is really important as a living history, ironically.
Oh yeah, definitely. So guys, any of you got any questions for Kate, please put them in the comments. So if you could speak to a celebrity ghost, who would you chat to?
Now, see, I don't know if I'm if I could say anything even vaguely intelligent to a to a deceased celebrity, because I think I'd want to get giddy and go far back and go, oh, I want to meet Shakespeare, but what like Shakespeare wouldn't speak like me. Shakespeare would speak well, like what 16th century English. I
Yeah.
did Middle English at university for a few years. I was awful at it. I'm not a natural at all. So I just sort of be doing sign language to Shakespeare, going, you top
Yeah.
lad, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. He's
I wouldn't want to waste my seance.
no.
Um, I'd think I'd pick someone like Eric Morecambe or Eric Morecambe, Les Dawson, Arthur Askey. Sort of, I'm really into my comedy that your dad liked, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So everything, your dad and your granddad and your great granddad. So like 70s working men's club comedy through to music hall and variety.
Yeah.
Just, it's been an obsession of mine since childhood. It explains a lot, I suppose, but certainly, yeah, yeah. You know, I'd like to summon Les Dawson and have a chat, a nice little chat with Les Dawson. That'd be nice.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. I love that.
yeah.
So we've got a question from Admit. How old were you, Dr. Kate, when you started your interest in this field?
Well, I think I had an interest since childhood.
Yeah.
So since about four, my well, no, before I could read, my granddad was very much into the supernatural and especially UFOs.
Mm.
So I think because my mum worked all the time, I was left with my grandparents a lot. And nowadays, I think a lot of people would be like, this isn't appropriate for a child. But he would sit me down and give me like some of the first books he had on Roswell, you know, with all the glossy
Yeah.
pictures,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then books on spontaneous human combustion with all the glossy, lovely pictures. And so before I could even read, I was really familiar with a lot of these rather infamous and sometimes quite gory images. So I suppose it was always there. But when I started really actively pursuing it in like higher education, I suppose after I did my first English degree and when I went back to do my master's and then my PhD and then my second master's, it was sort of mid-20s when I started to say, okay, let's see if I can make something of this. Let's see if I can
Mm.
go deeper and deeper and deeper and develop the tools to be able to do that. Because it's frustrating when you want to look into the history of something or you want to write something to a certain level and you just don't have that framework.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, going back into education helped an awful lot, but I've maintained an interest in the I'd say the supernatural broadly because I do maintain an interest in like all those fields. Yeah, since I was a child, and I kind of wish I hadn't because then I might have been a bit cooler at school, and I might have far fewer books, which is an absolute pain in the arse if you've got to move house and you've got about 6,000 books to cart about, you know. So it's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah. So we got another question from Roger. Kate, why do you think graveyards have been made out to be scary? That's just where the remains are. Wouldn't the spirit be haunting where it once lived?
Mm. I think that, well, there are so many reasons that we can see graveyards as scary. First of all, if you look to the first, arguably permanent memorials, like stone memorials from the Middle Ages to, let's say, like the 17th, 18th century, a lot of those early headstones use memento mori symbolism. So there's a lot of skulls, a lot of hourglasses, sort of simple images that conveyed to people that death was imminent and unavoidable. So with a view to repent. But also prior to like the invention of cemeteries in the mid 19th century, we had very, very overcrowded churchyards. So they were the only places where you could be laid to rest. And when you think about it, when you start getting industrialization and you start getting spaces in really highly populated areas, you've got a lot of dead people and a lot of dead
Mm.
bodies and not a lot of space to put them into. And so there are so many horror stories, particularly at the turn of the 19th century when places like London just boomed in population, where churchyards were like 6, 7 foot higher than they were supposed to be, because people were being buried within just like a few inches of soil. And it was such a foul and terrifying and rotting and rather fetid environment that it constituted a public health risk. So we've already got that culturally running through us, that
Yeah.
churchyards are scary, they're unsafe. The dead are scary, the dead are unclean. So I think there's a lot of that imagery. There's a lot of the Victorian imagery. I think 1970s horror has got a lot to answer for. I think Amicus and Hammer wandering around Highgate is imprinted in a lot of our minds. But yeah, I personally, I don't know about you, Miki, but after working in cemeteries and spending a lot of time doing projects and things in cemeteries, I've never been scared of the dead, and I've never really believed that I had a scary experience with spirits. Only once or twice. I think I've thought, oh, there's something there. There's something happening over there. But most of the time, I think you didn't die there. So there's no, if you believe that there's any sort of like imprint from extreme emotion, it's not going to be there.
No.
The remains are carried there. The family aren't there all the time. It would stand more to reason that your spirit would linger somewhere that has genuine importance to you in life, rather than just the place you happen to be laid to rest in death.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have actually found cemeteries to be quite active, though, to be fair, over the years. But then, who knows why they're there? They've probably followed the people that are there. Maybe they've come with me.
Exactly.
Maybe whoever's paying respects to a loved one at a grave, they've probably come with them.
Yeah. Maybe your reputation precedes you, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna follow him in here and see what he's up to."
Yeah. So we have Ruben. Kate, I'm from Grimsby, currently live in Laceby Village. My ears pricked up when you mentioned your sister's house earlier.
Oh, amazing! One of my favourite graves is near Laceby, which is the there's a massive memorial in Laceby Cemetery. So that's a fun fact. Yeah, I'm from Grimsby as well. So let's do a secret handshake. I don't know. Is there some sort of communication we should do?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, nice to hear there's another Grimbarian in the midst. Yeah.
So we've got another question from Truth Seeker. If Ghost Adventures, Help My House is Haunted, or Most Haunted asked you to appear on one of their TV episodes, which one would it be and why? You can't refuse.
Right. Not going to refuse. Right, I can only pick one, because otherwise I'll go yes to all of them.
Yeah, apparently just the one.
Okay. Because I think one of the most exciting things you can do in life is just experience new things and experience people. And so I'm all on board with that. But if I had to pick now from one of them, absolutely Ghost Adventures. You think I'm going to turn down a fully paid trip to America, like full holiday? I'm going to say we're going to investigate Disney. I'm going to turn up in my rhinestoned Ed Hardy shirt. You want me to scream at a doll? I'm going to do that. This is going to be the experience of a lifetime. So, yeah, I would not only do Ghost Adventures, but I would out-vegan Zach Bagans. That's how intensely I would be committed to my investigative methods. It's totally on board. Yeah, I like Paranormal TV as well.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Arthur C. Clarke and Hammer House of Horrors, plus family haunting shot got me going, plus my own experiences. I love cemetery visits. I've loved them since I was a child. I think cemeteries, I love just walking around them. They're just so peaceful.
Yeah. They are. They're really, really important places, I think, to remind people that they can absolutely just go for a wander, and they can develop their own relationships with cemeteries. It doesn't have to ever be for a set purpose. You can just sit for a bit, take a book. They're lovely places. And a lot of Victorian cemeteries, they were designed for that purpose. They were designed to be enjoyed by the living, to people to go and walk and picnic and see them as sort of public parks, not just as places of death and a memorialization.
So as we're coming towards the end, what would you want your legacy to be for your involvement in the paranormal field?
Obviously, I'd like to be the woman who carried Ghost Adventures to the next level, really escalated things. I think that's
Yeah, definitely.
personally, I'd love that. I'd, I'd really like to eventually produce a wide range of factual and accessible books and literature
Yeah,
that younger people could then use to start their journeys into the paranormal. I'd like to sort of be, I'd like to be people's gateway drug to the paranormal in
yeah,
whatever I do. But I think that's a nice thing. At the minute, um, I just I like generally I like people, I like experiences, and I think being in the paranormal, if you just take a few short breaths and don't beat yourself up too much, it can be a really fun place. And yeah, I want to write fun things. I want to meet fun people, and I want to have fun experiences. Um, and that's it. And if my legacy can be a range of books that people try and hunt down in secondhand bookshops and go, oh, it's a Kate Cherrell original. This is the one with only 7 typos in it. That's kind of my legacy. I'd like that. Yeah.
yeah. That would be awesome to be you be the go-to book or author to learn everything that they need to know about.
Yeah, I think I'm
You know,
many years off, but
yeah.
as far as dreams go, I think it's not the most unhinged.
There's nothing wrong
I
with
think,
that.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
why not? Got plenty of
yeah. But
time.
at the minute, if people read my books and they like them, that's the best thing in the world. Like, I love that so much. So that's my current legacy. Is if people like my books and they they find some enjoyment, even if it's just like a novelty Halloween read or a book they get from their goth mate. I like being that person. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful to be that person. Yeah.
So we have a question from Mark, who sort of stole one of my final questions, but I'll let him off. The question Mickey always asks: what is the one place
Mhm.
you'd love to investigate anywhere in the world? So your bucket list location.
I would say there's you know what, there's a fort in India called, I want to say it's Rajasthan, can't even say fort now, my god. But it's like it's the remnants of a former like blooming community that has these amazing legends attached to it. It's now completely abandoned, and you can only
Mm.
go there in daylight hours. And people say that it's haunted, and at night these spirits roam. There's also a lot of quite scary monkey populations that come out at night. So I think it's more it's more sort of practical safety.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that fort's got some really terrifying paranormal stories attached of the sort of Indian equivalent of white ladies, like banshee type
yeah,
creatures, and people have seen things there and been terrified. It's right out in the middle of nowhere, so it's really strange. It's like a dead city almost. So I'd really like to visit there and investigate there. A lot of places in Asia, I think I'd like to investigate, or Pavalia, which is the Plague
yeah.
Island.
Ireland, yeah,
Yeah, so I'd like, yeah, I'd say a lot of these places I'd like to investigate. I'd mainly just like to go along as a tourist and see what they're like. But yeah, I mean, I never got to investigate Bobby Mackey's, and I would have loved to have visited Bobby Mackey's, but
yeah. It's
gonna
all
need a
gone.
time machine if I want to do that. So
Yeah. Well, what you can
it's
do, you
it's
could
standing.
when you're on Ghost Adventures, you can go with Zach to
Yeah,
his museum because he's got
yeah,
some stuff. He's got some items
yeah,
from Bobby Mackey's. So you
yeah.
know,
So it's
sort of.
perfect. Yeah, me and Zach we're going to be like best buddies anyway. We're going to have like
Yeah,
matching jeeps. We're going to bedazzle each other's glasses. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Really,
yeah.
really looking forward to our future together as
You have to,
best bros.
you have to be really serious and mysterious
Yeah,
and shout at the
yeah,
camera.
yeah. Oh, I can do all of those things. I'll have a go at doing those things. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the call, and I'll be there.
I'm sure it'll be soon.
Mm, yeah.
Mark says,
Say that with such conviction. It'll be
"Woo!"
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him a ring.
Mm.
Mark says, "Have you got any of your books on audio?"
Not yet. It's been a bit of a sticking point with Begotten. However, it is available in paperback and ebook, so a lot of e-readers will read it out for you. But yeah, the audiobook version has just been stuck for months now.
Right.
So apologies.
I'm sure it'll be sorted soon. And we have. I don't know what Ali and Mark are doing. They're nicking my final questions. What would you get rid of in the paranormal field? Bagans
Yeah.
included. Lol.
I'd never get rid of Bagans. I'd
No,
never
I
get
wouldn't.
rid. No, I'd never get rid of any paranormal show. I really love paranormal programming so
Yeah.
much. Um, I think paranormal. What would I get rid of in the paranormal world? Yeah, I already said it. Just a lot of the nastiness. There can be a real holier than thou complex that comes over some people when they see someone they don't like doing well or doing a job that they think they should have been up for or got to work with someone that they wanted to work with. So I think just that element, but I think that's an element just in people in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
whatever field you're in. And it's a very damaging part to have for yourself. So the sooner people that's what I do in the paranormal field, I wouldn't remove anything. I'd make everyone go to therapy, and then everything would be
We'll
far
be fine.
calmer. Yeah, and if everyone needs sedatives afterwards, let's get them sedatives. And it will just be really chill and everyone will be fine and happy and we can all be friends and make a cake together and it'll be
Nice.
lovely. Yeah. That's a very
Sounds like
wholesome answer, isn't it?
sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
So
Wishful thinking.
if you could recommend a spooky book to our
Mm,
lovely audience to read,
yeah.
what would you suggest?
Oh, okay. Fiction or non-fiction?
Whatever floats your boat, whatever you like.
Okay. I'm just looking because I'm surrounded by things. Tell you what, at the minute, because it's Halloween,
Yeah.
and I feel like we all deserve a bit of fun, um, sometimes you just need to read 1970s children's books. And there's this book, Gobolino, the Witch's Cat, which
Oh, Penguin
is,
books. I remember them.
yes,
Yeah.
it's Puffin.
Oh,
So,
Puffin. Sorry. Whoops.
yeah, so this is it was first published in 1942, but this
Wow.
edition was from 1976. I think we are all sleeping on, this is a weird hill to die on, but let's go with it. Um, we're all sleeping on the joys of Halloween themed children's literature. And some like further back you go, like 20s, 30s, 40s onwards, there are the most lovely, heartwarming, but spooky, genuinely spooky, brilliantly written books that as an adult, when you've got so little time, if you're working, you've got household to maintain, if you've got kids,
Yeah.
anything like that, time is at a premium. These are dead short, but they're beautifully written. And so books like Gobolino, The Witch's Cat, it's so cute. I genuinely had to stop because I thought I might cry. I'm also
Uh,
really tired most of the time, so that might have something to do with it. But so I recommend for fiction Gobolino, The Witch's Cat, because it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. For non-fiction, let's go for there's a book called No Ordinary Deaths. It's not paranormal, but it's by Molly
right.
Conisbee, and it's like a people's history. It'd be up your street. It's like a people's
Mm.
history of death and of mourning. And it's not just looking at the great and the good, but looking at like how as a society we've approached death and ideas of the afterlife. And so it's not just focusing on kings and queens and those sort of famous memorials. It's ordinary people,
Yeah, yeah.
meticulously researched, beautifully written. It just came out this year. It's one of those gorgeous hardbacks that you can sort of go, oh, treat myself to that. So that is well worth it. And failing that, I love Colin Wilson's Poltergeist book. It's a classic. If you get like the lurid yellow cover,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a solid one. I really like anything by Colin Wilson. I find weirdly comforting. I think because I read them so much as a teenager. But
Yeah.
his book on like the occult, on poltergeist, stuff like that, it's wonderful. So I'd I'd definitely go for that. And there's a recent book that's just been published by Dominic Cheney called Treasures of the Occult. It's a really niche book, but it's about like sort of strange imagery in coins. So there's like coins that may have had like weird demons on them or UFOs
Oh,
or so
nice.
it's like a weird history of coinage that I've just got that. I've only skimmed through it, but it's a really beautiful book. So there you go. That's a shopping list. But of course, Gobolino, top of
It's
the pile.
got to be done. I'll get on Amazon in a minute,
Yeah,
or eBay.
yeah,
eBay probably get a good
yeah.
old
eBay.
edition. Yeah.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
America for £3 and then the £75 postage.
Yes, yeah. Sadly,
Yeah,
probably, but absolutely get on Gobolino. Let's have a reading group.
yeah. Let's have a book club. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Falco's got a question. You mentioned Highgate earlier. The vampire,
Mm.
yes or no?
I feel like if I come down on either side of that, I've got a chance of being sued because there's a lot of litigious goings on
Yeah.
around that whole story. Highgate Vampire, I tactful answer is I find it very, very interesting and
Yeah.
very culturally important because how often do we have vampire hysteria in the 20th
Exactly.
century? And we got it in the 80s, people like climbing over fences to go and slay the vampire, and they weren't all drunk. I mean, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So I love the story of the Highgate Vampire. I don't necessarily believe that there
No.
was anything in it. However, I am not the most well read on Highgate Vampire stuff. A friend of mine who is like very much like an expert on various fields of Catholicism and the way we on and the way we use sort of like certain spooky linguistics, called John Newton. He has done some amazing work on the Highgate Vampire that's so well researched and very very nuanced and not the usual aggressive it's nonsense or it's real that you'd get. So I think there's
No.
some very interesting discourse still happening around the Highgate Vampire. You will not get that interesting discourse from me because I am a wimp.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what does Halloween look like in your household
um
this year?
well, this year, for the first time in years, I don't have anything in my calendar on Halloween. I'm not working. I'm at home. And it's such a novelty that for the last few weeks, I've really been worrying about it. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. So, like, do I just go and buy like loads of pumpkins and stare at them for a few hours? Do I drink loads of Baileys and start shouting at the neighbours? Like, what do people do on Halloween when they're not working? So, the 4K remaster of Rocky Horror comes out on the 20, I think it's 27th. And
Monday, yeah.
this is a Rocky Horror friendly household. This is like a national holiday. So I think it will have to be lights off, close the curtains so people don't realise I'm in, ignore the
Yeah.
kids that come to the
Trick or treat.
door.
No, go away.
Get out. And just Rocky Horror, bottle of wine that's on offer in Aldi, keeping it classy, and bag of minstrels, and that's me sorted for Halloween. I've done my mad parties. I've done my going out and all of that, and I think I need to just enjoy the novelty of being at home and not having to do anything. I'll be a troll for Halloween, like a literal troll, just festering in my living room. Yeah, yeah. So
Sounds
that's
great.
it. That's my plan.
So, how can people purchase your books?
You can find them on Amazon, on Waterstones. If you want a signed copy of my book, of the novel, I've got a Big Cartel website, which is just Kate Cherrell .bigcartel.com, and on that then I've got a collection of short stories as well. I've got bookmarks. I've got a anthology that I edited earlier this year as well. So all the fun stuff is going on there, and then occasionally artwork that I do will be going up there as well, because it's far too much of it just hanging around in my room, and I really should get it out there, because this is starting to look like a serial killer's office. So a lot of stuff needs to go onto my big cartel. So you can get that anywhere, and I'm all over social media as well. I'm on I'm under Burials and Beyond. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, and even TikTok now. I am clinging on to my youth. So I have a TikTok under Burials and Beyond, and there's lots of things about graves and ghouls, and even bookshops on there, where I give even better recommendations than Gobelino the Witch's Cat. So, if you can believe such a thing. Yeah.
Awesome. So, thank you so much, Kate, for joining me this evening. It's been an honour. Really great talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I hope some of what I said made sense.
It did. Yeah, it's all in there.
Good. It is. Slowly.
So thank you, Kate. Awesome. See you in a bit. Thank you. So there we go, guys. Wow, what an amazing episode. Kate is so knowledgeable. She's got loads of books. Go check them out. Go order them. I've got one and I'm going to get more. So yes, go follow Kate on all her socials. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, share it out. I do have a new YouTube channel called Cemetery Walks with Miki, where I go all over the country, the UK, just walking around cemeteries, talking about graves, how they've dug the graves, memorials. If you're into things like that, nice peaceful walks, please go subscribe. The first video I think is coming out this Sunday, so that'd be awesome if you all could go and subscribe. And yes, I will see you next week. I have Richard Felix on the show, the old Mr. Most Haunted Historian. I'm sure he has an awful lot of stories to tell. So yes, we do, Diane. We'll go for some walks in some cemeteries. So yes, guys, see you next week. Thank you so much for this evening, and again, big thank you to Kate. So see you later, guys.